Hold on,
Nobody
this is
tells you
live. I'm
that grief
rerouting the
has a
power.
smell.
Be careful, what if it
Delaney
sparks?
It
learned
won't.
that the
Trust
hard
me.
way.
Okay, but hurry.
It smells like the vanilla candles his wife used to burn in the kitchen, and it hits you without warning at the worst possible moments. Like standing in the conditioner aisle of a CVS at 9 p.m. on a Wednesday, holding a bottle of something pink because your 6-year-old daughter has curly hair and you still haven't figured out what she needs after 14 months of trying. He was not having a good night. It had started with a parent-teacher conference that ran long, bled into a missed pickup, bled into Sophie crying in the backseat because she'd been the last kid in the after-school room again, which bled into Marcus sitting in the CVS parking lot for 5 minutes with the engine off, pressing the heels of his hands against his eyes and breathing the way the grief counselor had taught him. 4 counts in. Hold. 4 counts out. Keep going. He went inside because Sophie needed conditioner and life did not pause for falling apart. That's where he met Dana Calloway. She was standing one aisle over when she heard him. Not his crying, Marcus had gotten very good at not doing that in public, but his quiet, increasingly desperate conversation with himself as he compared 2 bottles of conditioner, reading the labels out loud under his breath like a man trying to defuse a bomb. Okay, this one says for thick hair but Sophie's is thick and curly, so does that mean? And this one says moisturizing, which she definitely needs, but it's $9, and the other one is, okay, what does argan oil even do? Dana appeared at the end of the aisle. She was 41, a middle school art teacher with paint permanently embedded under her fingernails and the kind of face that defaulted to kind. She took one look at the man holding 2 bottles of pink conditioner with the expression of someone being asked to solve advanced calculus, and she said, "Is her hair fine or coarse?" Marcus blinked. "I honestly don't know. Does it puff up when it air dries or go flat?" "Puffs," he said immediately. "Definitely puffs." She reached past him, selected a purple bottle from the middle shelf, and handed it to him. "This one. Trust me." He looked at the bottle. He looked at her. "How do you know?" She pointed to her own hair, a loose, dark coil of curls pulled back with a clip that was doing its best. "Field experience," she said, and the corner of her mouth lifted, and Marcus laughed for the first time all day. It came out rusty and a little too loud, and he didn't care even slightly. Her name came up naturally, the way things do when 2 people are standing in a CVS at 9 p.m. and one of them just threw the other a lifeline. He told her about Sophie. She told him she taught 7th grade, that she'd been in Columbus 3 years, that she'd moved for a job and stayed because she'd stopped knowing where else to go. There was something in the way she said it that Marcus recognized, the particular tiredness of someone who has reorganized their life around a loss they don't always talk about. They ended up at the little cafe 2 doors down, the one that stayed open late and always smelled like cinnamon. They talked for 2 hours. Marcus couldn't remember the last time he'd talked to another adult for 2 hours about anything that wasn't a work deadline or a school form. He told her about Rachel. Not everything, not the hospital room, not the last morning, not the way Sophie still sometimes set a place at the table for her mom out of habit, but enough. Enough that Dana was quiet for a moment after, in the way that meant she was actually listening and not just waiting for her turn to speak. She told him about her own story then. An engagement that dissolved at 37 when the man she'd built her future around decided he wasn't sure anymore. The years of rebuilding, the way she'd had to learn to want things again after spending so long wanting what she couldn't have. By the time the cafe started stacking chairs, Marcus realized he hadn't thought about the conditioner, the conference, or the parking lot in over an hour. They exchanged numbers in the parking lot. Easy, unforced, the way it happens when both people want it to but neither wants to be the first to say so. He drove home with Sophie's purple conditioner on the passenger seat and something he hadn't felt in a long time sitting quietly in his chest, something that felt cautiously like possibility. They texted. Then they talked on the phone, actually talked, not texted, which Marcus hadn't done with anyone who wasn't his mother in years. 3 weeks after the CVS, they had dinner at a small Italian place on High Street. 2 weeks after that, Marcus took Sophie to the park and Dana happened to be there. Genuinely happened, it wasn't planned, and Sophie spent 40 minutes showing Dana every single thing she could do on the climbing structure while Marcus sat on the bench and watched his daughter laugh with someone new, and had to look at the sky for a moment to compose himself. It was on their 4th dinner that Dana said it. They were at her apartment this time, pasta she'd made from scratch, a candle burning on the table, the easy quiet of two people who have gotten comfortable with each other's company. And then, out of nowhere, or what seemed like nowhere, Dana set down her fork and looked at him with an expression he couldn't immediately read. "Marcus," she said carefully. "I need to say something, and I need you to hear me out." He went still. "I think you deserve someone better than me." Her voice was steady but her hands weren't. "You have Sophie, and she needs someone whole, and I don't know if I carry a lot. I'm not who I thought I'd be by now. I'm 41 and I live alone and I still haven't figured out half the things I thought I'd have figured out by 40, and you deserve someone who isn't." She stopped. "Someone better than this." The table was quiet. Marcus looked at her for a long moment. He thought about the conditioner aisle. He thought about Rachel and about grief and about the parking lot and the 4 counts in and the 4 counts out and the 14 months of slowly learning that surviving something doesn't mean you stop being human. He thought about Sophie setting a place at the table. He thought about what it meant to be whole. "Can I tell you something?" he said. She nodded, barely. "I spent a year and a half believing that I wasn't allowed to want things anymore," he said. "That wanting things was a betrayal of what I'd lost, or a risk I didn't have the right to take, or, I don't know. Just something that wasn't for me anymore." He paused. "And then you handed me a bottle of conditioner in a CVS and talked to me like I was a regular person, not a sad case, not a project, just a person. You have no idea what that did for me." Dana's eyes were bright. "I'm not looking for perfect," Marcus said. "I'm not even sure perfect exists. I'm looking for real. And you are the most real person I've met in a very long time." She was quiet for a moment. Then, "You're not supposed to say things like that." "Why not?" "Because then I have to figure out what to say back." He smiled. "Take your time." She laughed, soft and unguarded, the laugh of someone who has stopped bracing and started breathing. She picked her fork back up. The candle burned between them. Outside, the city went on doing what cities do, oblivious, unhurried, full of people stumbling toward each other and CVS aisles and parking lots and small Italian restaurants, trying their imperfect best. Sophie loved the conditioner, for the record. She asked Marcus where he found it, and he told her a woman helped him, and Sophie thought about this and said, "Is she nice?" "Yeah, baby," Marcus said. "She really is." Sophie nodded, satisfied, and went back to her cereal. "Some mornings, that's enough. Some mornings, that's everything."